Hello, everyone. Welcome to NKBA Live, Brave New Business. I'm Bill Darcy. It's great to be back with you. I hope all of you enjoyed a wonderful holiday weekend. I've been excited about all of our BNB forums because each episode has offered a unique perspective on a broad range of topics. I am, though, especially happy to welcome this week's panel, who each represent the organizational culture of NKBA. They're all forward-thinking, innovative, enormously positive and proactive, and at times even aggressive. Today, we explore a topic that is critical to growing a business, but has taken on an even greater role with the pressures of the COVID impact as we all evolve to the still undefined future business environment. That is creating opportunities, even when it seems there are none, to help with our business and thrive and prosper. We welcome Andreas Hansen, President of the Wine Preservation System, Plum, Marty Davis, President and CEO of American-made family-owned natural quartz surface producer, Cambria, and Adam Sandow, CEO of Sandow, the multi-platform media and logistics giant. We'll be talking about grabbing market share and creating opportunity in today's market. Just a little housekeeping. As always, this online forum qualifies for a half CEU credit for NKBA certified members. And I'd like to thank one of our 2020 design competition winners, Bill Livingston, CKD CBD, for the use of his elegant bathroom design behind me today, in which he specified Cambria's amazing countertop. Finally, a quick shout out to our own Diane Pagoda, NKBA's Senior Manager, Creative Content, who is celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday to Diane, critical part of our Brave New Business team. We're making time for questions at the end, so please type those in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, not the chat, please. Starting with Andreas, your company is a relatively new player, having introduced your beautifully designed wine dispenser at KBIS in January. First time out, you won the Best of KBIS Kitchen Gold Award and brand with the biggest bite during Design Bites. So congratulations again on those awards. While we understand you got some traction at the show when the country shut down just a few weeks later, it must have had an impact on your momentum. So can you tell us about what you've done to create opportunity during the crisis?
Yes, Bo, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody to be here. As a former president of LIPA, I've met many of you in the past. So our big coming out party right before I joined Plum was at KBIS, as you say, and was very excited about the feedback we've gotten from the industry and from this community. When COVID happened, obviously I was about to really freak out about the situation. But we saw something that was quite interesting, and I'm sure that you all can relate to it. People consume more wine during those days, right? And so we have this wine dispenser that is behind me at this beautiful bar format bar. And it preserves wine, it dispenses wine, and so forth. And what we've seen, because it's connected, we see the consumption data. So suddenly wine consumption gone up for Plum users by 35%. So that led me to a hypothesis. So I'm thinking, so people are home now drinking more wine. So this is a great opportunity now to engage with dealers and end consumers directly in order to basically engage directly. So people are home doing too many Zoom calls, as we all can also relate to, and crave those little luxuries. Maybe they don't want installers at home for right now for bigger items. So we started doing webinars, very, very small, and the attendance was always booked out. So in the past 2 months, we've trained over 1,000 kitchen professionals, kitchen dealers, appliance dealers, architects, designers, and as a result, added hundreds of new dealers. So something that I've never expected. And I can now truly say that I would call this a success story during the pandemic, right? So dealers right now have adopted Plum, even though the stores were closed. Just yesterday, we added 8 more dealers, which was amazing. It's a ground shippable unit, so it actually helps businesses to be able to compensate a little bit of the current situation. And as I mentioned, we all drink more wine right now. So turned out this pandemic for us was not as bad as I thought the impact is going to be, and the momentum, in fact, has been tremendous. We are also investing more in ads. I mean, we do Retail Observer, AD, and so forth. When others stopped investing, we said, right now, this is our time. This is the time of the wine, and we're going to go as aggressive as we can. Furthermore, yeah, please.
Go ahead. I was going to say that was my second part of my question is how do you continue that? How do you continue your brand awareness building during this, now you've regained this momentum or even have more momentum coming out of COVID?
More momentum. And what I do, I really engage more with the dealers. So many dealers haven't adapted to this new situation. They haven't embraced online yet fully. Other dealers like Annette Reeves from Perch, who was on the panel, or Debbie from Mrs. G, they also go aggressive. They say, let me create content. Let me create things that people are craving for right now. And those are really thriving. I mean, the ones that right now don't throw the towel, but really go out there, create good content, focus on online sales, and foster partnerships are thriving. This is what we are doing. I'm basically engaging this beautiful community on a daily basis, always. I communicate with the dealers, architects, designers directly through Zoom calls. And I can truly say, without this community, without the NKBA, this success story wouldn't have happened. So I thank you, in fact, for helping us to not only get through it, but really thrive and grab market share, as you just mentioned.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you. Thank you for being part of it and for what you've been doing, and your success is a great story to hear. Marty, Cambria is well established, hundreds of reps and dealers. Your success largely depends on building and maintaining relationships. So how has your sales team been able to keep up in this environment?
Well, good afternoon, Bill, and thanks for having us here at Cambria. I think the first thing we did is we kept all of our salespeople, 100% of our salespeople employed during the period that our state shut down. And so we had a lot of circumstances where stay-at-home orders affected our workforce, but we were able to navigate that and keep all of our people at least at 60% work flow. So they were very active, and I compliment many of them went far beyond that. And they stayed very active through technology. Can you imagine COVID-19, Bill, without today's technology? I mean, just step back and imagine 2005 and what it might have been like. But our people were very, very active and very progressive in connecting their business partners and channel partners and relationships, not only with Cambria, but some of the things that our people did, our teams, our market reps, we call them market makers, but they were out in the markets, well integrated, and they connected the peer groups within the design community, within the kitchen and bath community, and within the builder community, so that they became the facilitator of some of that cross-pollination. So it wasn't just a coordination amongst Cambria and for Cambria activity, but we facilitated and bridged the different conversations and integration technology, bringing it all together with those various groups, and really kept the biology going throughout the COVID circumstance, in and out of stay-at-home shelters, state by state, circumstance by circumstance, to make sure we were well connected and people were well connected to us. But not only us, I thought the real visionary thing of our team and many of their leadership here at Cambria was how they did go forward very progressively to connect the community beyond Cambria of the different peer segments. And that was very successful. Everybody in the country used the Zoom and the Google technology to connect visually and otherwise, but really to find the energy to get people engaged and immersed in the communications and the conversation and find it to be a place of substance was the challenge. And that was something our people really did a great job working with the marketplace on that. And I think it was well received.
I pay attention to you guys on Twitter and LinkedIn. Those are two platforms I use a lot. And I noticed there's a lot of engagement there. Your community, you've created in the community. Can you talk a little bit about your social media efforts and how that is, how that's been going?
Yeah, it's as you can imagine, it's a catalyst to all the aforementioned. So immediately when our governor issued stay home and the country was pretty much all going that way, we found essential. We were fortunate with being in the construction field that we kept the measure of our digital team 100% in place. And so our social media efforts, our marketing leadership in that area stayed intact, and actually, probably increased their workday and advanced kind of the integration of our different social media platforms, and really assisted our market reps throughout the country in how to better utilize and govern their social media platforms on a personal basis, as well as leveraging our company platforms in that endeavor. So that's why you saw for us, Bill, a tremendous amount of uptick in activity. Certainly the citizenry of the nation was more plugged in, if you will, to technology. It's obvious to us when you look at Netflix and some of the other platforms and the increase of their activity. And that same thing was true in all our social platforms. So we stayed very engaged in them, very connected, and knew that it was actually not a slowdown period for that part of our business, but actually a kind of a fire in the hole period, that you got to be on the game and focused and advancing learnings and efforts and using the different tools to leverage those platforms. And our team did a really great job. Andrea Thorne, our head of our marketing department, and her team stepped up in a big way and did a super job for us and for our channel.
It was great to see and very noticeable. And another part that excited us in talking with you about what Cambria was doing, we've heard many brands, have been cutting spending in an effort to kind of ride out the crisis. But you have taken a much different approach, investing heavily in product design, innovation during this time. So can you talk about some of the behind the scenes process? Why is R&D so important right now to Cambria?
Yeah, Bill, that's right on the mark. We had some practice in 08, right? All of us, 08, 09, for some type of a seismic shift in our business. And we did the same thing. That's when we launched our Waterstone collection very shortly after we found its beginning. And so in this period, we invested heavily in our sales team. We increased our investment heavily in our digital and social media platforms, as mentioned, but we also went deep in our research and development area and advanced our product design work and innovation in that area, and invested heavily. And all those people stayed in full force for us at Cambria. And in fact, we're working overtime in this period of time. And so we really, in certain areas of the budget, we increased our budgets pretty substantially at this juncture, and advanced that kind of development, both in the plant with our new designs and pilot plants and otherwise, but also in our field work in the areas of fabrication and some of the things we were doing in point of sale development in facilities where we want to be ready when this thing turns, Bill, as it already is beginning to, and we're out there and ahead of that curve. So I think during something like this, the answer is invest heavily in your sales team and in your research and development innovation platforms, or it's going to be a tough time to reemerge into the business and not lose some pretty good ground.
Well, compliments to you and your leadership and what you've been doing to set the bar there at Cambria. Very, very impressive to see. Adam, yours is interesting because you have two distinct areas of your company, media and logistics. We know that traditional media, print media, have taken a big hit in recent years, and some of the former giants in that industry have, even gone away. Yet you have been able to grow and thrive. So can you first tell us about how you've accomplished this on the media side, your recent acquisitions of Metropolis, implementing Design TV and other initiatives?
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here. We've had very unique philosophies, whether we're targeting the residential community, the commercial community. We've been able to build really an ecosystem of companies that all serve the design industry across all of our brands, from ThinkLab and Research and Material Connection, Material Bank, and obviously all of our media, all of our magazines. We were able to, in an unprecedented way for us, bring all of our brands together almost simultaneously when we saw this pandemic hit, and bring them together, bring our editors together, bring our digital teams together, and spin up Design TV. We've seen an unprecedented demand for information, for connectivity, for research, Our research team at ThinkLab can't possibly work any harder, just getting the industry fed with the right information to kind of navigate this very, very tough time. And I think that it goes back to some of our philosophies. We started Lux almost 2 decades ago. Lux is now the giant of the industry, and it's because of the local connection, bringing the local dealers, the local builders, the local architects together with the national. And that formula we've seen even now in the middle of this pandemic, and back in 2008, we saw it again. The need for connectivity, the need to connect the local buyer with the local seller, the local general contractor with the local builder, the local kitchen and bath dealer. All of that connectivity is more important than ever. And our platform's been built on that. We do over 300 and some odd events a year, publish over 120 issues of design magazines across all of our brands, obviously a very big digital footprint. And all of that working in unison. And again, for the first time, bring all of that together, all of that power to leverage for something like Design TV has been something that has been amazing to watch our teams come together and deliver the industry such important information and connectivity. So it's been exciting to see that happen and happen so well during this unprecedented time.
For the logistics side, you operate the very successful Material Bank, the sampling service for the interior design industry. How has that part of your business been during the crisis, and what do you attribute performance there?
Well, it was almost like Material Bank was built for this, for the simple reason that we've now created the world's largest architecture and design marketplace, where we allow anyone, an architect, a designer, a real estate developer, a kitchen and bath designer, to come and look and source these materials. And because we invested not only in the technology to build that platform, because we invested in a very, very large robotic distribution facility, we've been able to keep the industry going. We've been able to keep the industry working from home. We brought on nurses onto our team in late February, early March. We have had 100% uptime and full employment with the platform because our volume has hit unprecedented levels. Virtually overnight, we saw over 35,000 of our users start to use the platform and immediately switch to ship everything to their home. And my COO got the incredible idea to start treating every package with disinfectant. And we saw this appreciation in the industry where they were posting, and still every day, designers opening up their boxes, all of their tools, all of their products in one single box at their house. So while the resource libraries are closed, while the reps can't get in to see them anymore, while trade shows are really on pause, Material Bank kept running and kept driving and feeding all of our 250 partners leads every day. And we see now how, again, just growth right through this pandemic, and that continues again, hit another record night again last night. And the volume of processing is honestly staggering to feed this industry and to keep the manufacturers and the designers working.
What more, you all have such a unique approach in this environment. What more can you share with the community about innovation or things that you're doing that you shared a lot about what you're specifically doing. We're talking to a very diverse population of members here. NKBA is unique in the industry where we represent dealers and designers and manufacturers and a cross spectrum of the industry. Is there things that you think that would help NKBA members continue to think differently about their own businesses that any of you would like to share?
Well, our team is constantly publishing research because we're going into a new world. Some people are excited, some people are terrified, but we are what we're dealing with now is, I think, in my opinion, nothing. What we're going into is a paradigm shift that happens once in a generation, in my opinion. We're going to see this shift ripple through every single business. Some will be positively and negatively affected. And what we have always done with our media brands, especially, is communicate and give the information that they need to stay competitive. without the right information, without the right information on how to run the business, without the right information to satisfy clients and to keep top of mind of those clients, whether it's new products, whether it's insight into what's coming and how even the consumers and the buyers want to interact, because that's changing. We're constantly feeding that through all of our pipelines. Something as simple as our Lux Connects, where we're bringing the local communities together all the way up to our mega events. It's all about educating our readers and connecting all of our brands and partners to the users, to the people that are in this industry. Material Bank is the same thing. It's how do we give them powerful tools to not miss a beat and to be able to deliver for their clients? Because at the end of the day, it's all about a high level of service and innovation, and the companies that can maintain that, especially through disruption, will be successful. And tools like Interior Design's new launch of a product called Launch, very amazing technology to create engagement with products and buyers. We've really been working hard on not just media, not just digital content, but the tools. And that's a big thing for us, the tools that make this industry run and allow your members to be more efficient with their time.
Leon, I know we have a couple more questions for the panel, but you have a bunch of questions coming in on the chat. You want to throw a couple questions out to the group?
Sure, there's a bunch for all three panelists. I'll start with Andreas. Andreas, did you have any pushback from dealers that did not want to be sold to during the pandemic? And how did you handle selling if they had never seen your product before?
Essentially, we presented it through webinars. Now, our distribution partners, which are amazing, they have the relationships and they were able to also jump on one-on-one calls. Some of them have seen it at KBIS. Others have seen it right now, again, socially or through videos and so forth. It's a new category for sure. It's a wine dispenser. This never has existed in that form. And there were some initial pushbacks, but the rate of dealers adapting it right now shows that they're embracing that this is a new luxury item, a must-have that everybody has to have. So they didn't feel that we are selling to them. It was really more of a, wow, this is an additional solution, which we didn't have before. We talked about dishwashers and microwaves in the past. This is wow. So actually we can now go back to our customers and offer them something they haven't seen before, create excitement during a time that is not exciting, right? And essentially have something, a talking point that is an actual hook. And then again, ground shippable, they can sell it and it's plug and play. They don't have to deal with installation and so forth. So that was actually helping them revenue-wise as well, because that's one of the few items they can sell right now.
Great. Question for Marty. Are you changing the way you will do business, for example, sampling in the future?
I think that I was listening to Adam, and he's so right about how the changes of the world will be made as a result of this. But well, we'll try to continue to advance technology to refine what we do. And in fact, we work with Adam's company, as an excellent company, Material Bank, in that endeavor. I was thinking and reflecting, it's still, I think what the pandemic proved as much as anything is that we'll continue to innovate how we do business, but not having relationships and not having interface and human endeavor together and the type of cultivation and networking that goes on. I think it proved to us that those voids in our life are very difficult for us to conduct business under. So while technology brought a lot of things to us, I think it also re-emphasized how important continuing to sustain and nurture relationships in the marketplace with your customers and having the hand-to-hand contact with something like samples where we are efficient and proficient and we get them information they need, but we still need that human interface, that human relationship. And I don't think we'll go much down a path of changing that. I think this time proved to us that kind of critical aspects of business and commerce is not only necessary, but a requirement of flourishing together with your partners and your customers all the way down to the consumer.
And you might have just addressed this, Marty, but how are you specifically helping your fabricators through this?
I think that's a very critical part of that is the relationship and staying in close contact with our fabricators. We're going to have to develop different schemes around inventories with them so that they can bring back the business trend and their position of supply into the marketplace. They're going to have to govern by state in different states, govern how they come back to work. Some of them already have. And I think just be one of the things when we say American made, we're not talking about buy American. That's not the way to earn the business. But American made means that you promote and live and activate and really thrive in having the contact, the reliability, the responsiveness, and the connection to the market. So our number one thing with our fabricators is stay very, very connected to them and to our partners in the retail segments as well.
Great. Question for Adam. Adam, what are your thoughts on the luxury market coming out of this pandemic?
We've seen it in every downturn. Luxury market comes out of these always bigger and stronger. It's happened through every down cycle. I think we went into this with the greatest economy in the world. We came into it with very good fundamentals. So we are seeing already appetite out there. We talk to a lot of different businesses outside of architecture and design. And I will tell you that market, we're already seeing a lot of activity. So there's no doubt that we will see that market come back, and I believe it'll come back quicker than the other categories. We also, one of the companies we own is called MediaJet, and we have almost 300 newsstands in private airports, and we monitor the traffic, and we monitor a lot in those private airports, and they're starting to boom again. People are moving, people are flying, and I think that market comes back very strong.
And I
have
also
time for one more, Leanne. Go ahead.
I do. Although I like the comment about to Andreas, can we integrate Cambria in your wine dispenser? So I think there's some beautiful things happening here. So
yeah, we could. And I saw a different question. Yeah, I mean, it's a freestanding inside a trim kit. So yes, it's fully integrated, and we can certainly talk about stone panels for it.
Okay, Adam, I have one more question for you, and I know it's a loaded one. What are your thoughts about print publications in the future?
To me, the way the print publications will continue to be very viable is maintaining a high level of quality and a high level of trusted content. We see a huge opportunity there. We bought Metropolis magazine. What we're seeing is the industry doing the absolute opposite of what they need to. When you look at European magazines, when you go to Europe and you see them, they're an inch and a half thick, they're robust, they're doing well, they have very dedicated, passionate readers. When you come to this country, what you see is publishers over the last 5 years have seen declines, and they answered it with thin out the book, thin out the quality, thin out the content. And you get to a point where you're producing 48-page, 64, little tiny flimsy magazines. In my opinion, they're absolutely finished. That is the recipe for disaster. That's driving the car at 100 miles an hour, knowing the cliff's there in another 18, 24 months. And they keep doing literally the opposite of what, in my opinion, you have to be a successful publisher. We have magazines that have doubled down in quality. Our page counts are high. Our paper quality is high. That's the luxury of reading a magazine. Otherwise, go flip on your phone, and that's great. But when you want to really use the magazine as a resource, it has to be a hell of a resource. I always say the best canary in the coal mine for us is our private airports and our newsstands. And we watch tens and tens of thousands of magazines move off those private newsstands and off the main newsstands. But if publishers, and by the way, we need them to be successful. We don't want to be the only successful one out there. If publishers keep doing what they're doing, which is cutting the quality and cutting everything out of the books, they will be finished. We just don't believe in that. We never have. So we are ardent believers in that. I'll give you a great example. We with everyone working from home, we immediately started to take, because we knew Lux goes to homes. We knew that Metropolis, we knew that interior design goes a lot to offices. We immediately started diverting them into the boxes in material bank. And we were getting letters from designers saying, this is too good to be true. We've got our samples and now we've got content to do our job. So if done right, there's a huge opportunity. Just look to Europe. If done wrong, it is finished. So we try and work hard to try to do our best to do it right.
Although we're essentially out of time, Leanne said we had one more great question. So for those who want to hang with us, we want, Leanne, could you give us one more question for the panel?
Sure. The question is, there has been underwhelming performance in the last few weeks. However, there is now an uptick. There's some sentiment out there that this is just pent up demand from jobs put on hold. But will there be perhaps another lull after clearing these backlogs? Marty, what are your thoughts on what is to come in the next 2 to 3 months?
No, to your question, I don't think there will be a lull. I think that, the market stayed fairly firm but down a touch. I don't think it's overcooked or been overblown at all in this period with false, urgent rush type pandemic related only construction. I think the market's going to pick up where it was and continue to sustain itself. I think people are getting restless and certainly will get out more, but I think there's opportunity for growth and expansion to continue. I think the sign, I have a 17-year-old son that said to my wife and I the other day, this quarantine has to end. I need a break from you and mom. And I think that that is the temperament of the nation. If we can get back to work safely, we can get back to doing our activity and our enterprise. And I think it's going to be a very strong market if we're able as a nation and as a world to have that good fortune as it relates to this crisis subsiding. And so I'm very optimistic. And
I think we just lost Marty. So
oh,
he's back.
I'm happy to weigh in. We still have time?
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
So I think what we're not talking about is something that has happened that I believe is an unprecedented boon to the kitchen and bath industry and to the residential industry. And that is certainly not in my lifetime, right? We've never seen the home as actually a shelter, a true shelter. We've had this shelter in place, but think about this, that people have cooked more than they ever have at home. They've interacted with their family more at home. They've lived in their home, right? We're all on the go. I'm on the go nonstop. My kids, we're always on the go. We've actually lived in our home. And I think that this is going to be a long-term boom for everyone in the residential market. I think the commercial markets are going to feel it in 12 to 18 months, but I think residential, people are looking at their kitchen and their home in an entirely different way. We saw this nesting phase happening when the world was ending in 2007. I think this goes on steroids. I think people are going to have more interest in their home. I think we're going to be looking at, what do I do about now a real office from home? How do I have a professional setup? Do I need an extra bedroom? How do I move things around? I think it's absolutely going to be a major win for residential. We've talked, again, we do so much research. To me, it's not pent up demand. It's people saying, I need to fix that. I need to do this. I want to renovate my kitchen. It's time to do things. So yes, economically, there'll be people that are going to struggle and be out of work. But I think as that starts to come back, I think the focus on home, and by the way, we see it in Lux. Lux literally sells thousands of ads to the small individual leading luxury players in all the cities. We're selling ads like crazy, because that is to me not just pent up demand. I feel really strongly about that, and I think we're going to see that just continue.
And I just want to weigh in. I agree, luxury market will come out better than others. Same for me. I bought a new dishwasher, a new hood. I cook every day, and this is what has fueled the success story of Plum. right now. People are home and they want their luxuries, they want their appliances, and that has fueled our growth. So, and it happened to be that one piece that dispenses wine, which helps during a crisis like this one. But I fully agree with you, Adam.
Well, I tell you what, we couldn't end on a better note. Thank you all, sincerely, all three of you, for your observations, how to seize opportunities, sharing strategies that I hope will benefit our viewers. Next week, please join me for a forward-thinking discussion on ways home, kitchen, and bath design will inevitably change as a result of the pandemic. Going right into what Adam was just saying, on what designers and remodelers are likely to be incorporating into their projects. Our guests will be Teresa Casey, Principal and Registered Interior Designer of Casey Design Planning Group in Toronto, Canada. Lloyd Alter, Design Editor and Adjunct Professor of Interior Design at Ryerson University, also from Toronto. And Paul Keskes, Content Director at Architizer, based in New York City. Thanks again for our panelists and for all of you for being with us today, hanging out for a couple more minutes. Thanks again to our panelists. Please follow NKBA and me on social media for the latest news and updates from the kitchen and bath industry. Have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.